You are tuned in to Roctowns Finest on 100.9 FM, WXIRLP in Rochester, New York.
Hey, it's Roctowns Finest on your radio.
Don't forget to check out Real Talk at 6:30 this Saturday and every Saturday. Your boy Jeff Smith, my man Andre Doc, who's doing a thing. This Saturday, every Saturday, 6:30. Real Talk.
Yes, Real Talk. Jeff Smith, what's going on?
What's happening, man? What's happening, Doc? How you doing?
All right. We got Shaun in the building. We got Huff here, too.
Yeah, man. I'm chilling, man.
That's what it is. We have Freeway Rick Ross. He's a reformed drug kingpin turned author. Self-educated. I like to call him a revolutionist. He ultimately moved probably $90 million in cocaine. Man, we blessed to have you here, man. Such a legend, man. It's our privilege, for real.
Absolutely.
No doubt, all mine.
Yeah, but before we get deep into it, because a lot of people know your legacy, and a lot of people, they scream your name and they toss it around. But I want to take it back to the source. Okay, what initially inspired you to this line of work?
Poverty. Some people say money is the root of all evil, but I say the like of it.
I read somewhere that it was a $200,000 a day daily income. Also have had some days with $3 million. I mean, like we all have touched the streets, and we've never seen nothing like this. For a black man to be as courageous to reach to that level, you know what I'm saying, and to stay under the radar so long, because I mean you weren't really touched till like '96. How did you stay below the law enforcement so long?
Well, you gotta be low key. You can't be walking around with clothes and jewelry on saying that I'm a drug dealer.
And also, Mr. Ross, like I want to touch on this though, because it's been a lot of controversy with two rappers, not just one, using your name. And to my understanding, you're really not digging that.
I ain't tripping because somebody used my name. It can't be flattering to have somebody name themselves after you. It was some issues, some old issues. I don't really want to go into that now. But no, I'm cool with them using the name. I would have just liked to have been compensated.
I didn't really want to get to the dynamics of that. I just wanted to clear it up that you're really not against hip hop. You're really not against rappers, right?
Oh no! I love hip hop. I don't like some of the images that are being portrayed in hip hop. Some of the negative stuff. Because I believe that some of those things are brainwashing our youngsters.
Right. Yeah. I was watching an interview you did with Alex Jones, I believe, where you guys were talking about how the government has kind of weaponized hip hop, and I think you're kind of speaking to that now. Could you kind of elaborate on as far as, because as far as I see it, you kind of have a inside track on governmental tampering, as far as to kind of wrap it up in a nutshell. What do you see as far as, like, do you see that still being an issue, and has it gotten worse, say even in the past 5 to 10 years, in your opinion?
Well, you know what they say about music and radio, they call it programming.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that some of those things actually program our kids to think and act a certain way. I mean, they want to be like the heroes.
Do you feel like you personally were contributory to some of this?
Oh, absolutely. A big contributor. That's why I'm working so hard to reverse the trend.
Right, and I see you said I seen you had a speech at Brown University in Rhode Island, and I heard you say that since you were a critical part of creating the drug war, that you can be a critical part of ending the drug war. What are your plans to move that forward?
Well, like Jesus said, my people suffer for a lack of knowledge. So it's my job to spread knowledge. And when you spread knowledge, you spread wealth.
Right. And for a while, though, you were kind of like, it was a little difficult for you to get speaking gigs, right? Like it was kind of funny and a little ironic. You said, like, and I fully agree that these schools will pay $150,000 for a rap artist to tell them and glorify drugs, but you being the actual originator of a lot of these guys' fairy tales, and you're coming in, telling people not to use drugs, and they wouldn't even want you on campus. Has that lessened, or do you still kind of get that roadblock as far as trying to convey a more positive outcome to your situation?
Well, it's still tough for me to get speaking gigs, and I still feel that our school systems are lost, and that's why so many of our kids are lost, because our teachers and our principals are not strong-willed individuals. They kind of buckle down to the system.
Right.
Because in my opinion, I don't think there's nobody better to come to our schools, especially our inner city kids, and have me speak to them.
Right.
Right, because I think when it comes from somebody who's been through it, I think that's like the best teacher, the best experience you can get from it.
Like, this man has stripes, like he's like got the veteran stamp of approval.
Well, you want to be taught by somebody who looks, acts, and been where you been.
Absolutely.
Here you go, you got a guy telling you, do this, do that, who's been fed with spoon all his life. You're not going to comprehend him, because you're going to say he never worked to earn his. He don't know what it's like to be hungry.
Right.
Okay, Rick, for the listeners, though, when I said what inspired you to take this lifestyle, and you said it was poverty. Okay, so what would you say to the average 16-year-old dude who really has no way out? He really has no education. He's trying to stay in school. His family is starving. He's in the cesspool of the ghetto, and he needs to feed his family, and he only knows one way is to shake that thing. What would you suggest he do?
Well, the most important thing, I don't care what line of work you're going into, legal, illegal, half illegal, half illegal, is that you must educate yourself, because you will never be successful in nothing without first informing yourself about the game that you're getting into. What are the rules? Who are the players? How long are they lasting? Just things that I never really did when I was in other business, which I should have did. And also, when you're thinking like this here, you're going to have your exit clause, or, a way that you can get out of it.
Right, an exit strategy.
Right.
I think one thing that people kind of miss, like kind of underestimate about Rick is that he's got an amazing business acumen. As far as being somebody that, was kind of illiterate, right? Couldn't read or write very well. And to now come full circle and have a book, I think that, speaks to your business acumen. And could you also talk to how are some of the ways that you kind of seasoned and sharpened your mental game away from academia? Because there are a lot of kids out there like you that, for whatever reason, don't dig school, don't want to get into school, but there's still avenues and ways to improve yourself and improve your position without having that, academia behind you. Could you speak to that a little bit?
The first thing that I had to do is I had to figure out why couldn't I read.
Okay.
And what I found out is that I never had a reason to read.
Right.
There was no purpose in it for me to read. No more than a teacher wanting me to do something on my mom, feeling like it was something that I should do. So I had no reason to learn how to read. I saw myself.
You had no reason to learn how to read. Like, we gotta read. You gotta read street signs. You gotta read like the store signs, the stuff on the store, the menu in the restaurant. I mean, there's a reason to read at all times. I mean, from 5-6 years old.
Well, there's people that function that functions out here without knowing how to read. I did.
Right.
I functioned without being able to read. So, for the things that you're saying, the basic things, you don't necessarily need to know how to read to function on the streets and to drive a car and so forth.
Right.
So I never equated in my mind that reading was going to be beneficial to me.
Right.
It only occurred to me when I was in prison with a life sentence without the possibility that reading was important to me at that time, because it was my way out of prison.
Right.
So when reading became important, I learned how to read quick.
Right.
And I think that's the thing we have to equate to our people who can't read, is a valid reason why they need to know how to read.
Right. There's always a valid
That's the
reason.
point I was trying to make. Not saying that we don't need to know how to read, because everybody should know how to read. And I believe that anybody can learn how to read if they're taught the principles like was taught to me.
Right.
And even on that note, even being in that situation, I see that they were trying to hit you with the 3 strike, and so I see that you studied on your own and got yourself out of that predicament. So how did that happen?
Well, they didn't try to hit me with 3 strikes. They did.
Right.
Yeah, I had a life sentence for a few years. Well, basically what happened is I taught myself to read, and I started studying the law books constantly and daily. And one day, the issue popped up that I needed to reverse my life sentence, and booyah, the rest is history.
I read somewhere that you, during your whole run with the with your cartel family or whoever your connect, that you never would take anything on consignment. That you would always say, "I just want to pay for mine up front." And I mean, I'm not trying to glorify the drug game or nothing like that. I just want to give that. I just want to put that out there while we're on this radio show. But I believe that's a great attribute for any man in anything you're doing, to try to spend your own money, and that's a great character trait to say, okay, I don't want anything on consignment, because the average guy is gonna say, just pile it all on me, and they find themselves working for the connect, and they're telling you what to do and like that. So that was a great thing. When I read that, I was like, wow, this dude is really smart.
Well, I've always liked to pay for what I get. I don't like charity. I remember when my mom used to send me in the store with food stamps, and I'd be hiding. So I never liked charity. I always wanted to be my own man and do things the way that I felt they should be done. And if they don't work out, then I pay the consequences.
Right, that's what it is, man. Rick, man, it was a lot of controversy with this planned Contra scandal with Ronald Reagan, and a lot of people want to know, in your words, how did your hustle incorporate into that?
Well, if you just keep growing and keep expanding, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no telling where you're gonna wind up, But
it wasn't to your knowledge. It wasn't to your knowledge, correct?
No. I knew absolutely nothing about the CIA or their involvement in drugs until after Gary Webb published the article "Dark Alliance" in the San Jose Mercury News.
Right. And they made a movie about that, right? Like Kill the Messenger was about basically your life, right?
Yeah. It was about Gary's life.
Gary. Okay.
My character was in it.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people were saying like my character stole the movie, though.
Well,
I guess.
Without you, there,
I wonder why.
and that's commendable, because there was when I was doing my research on you, Gary's name kept coming up, and to know what Gary was into and to find out what eventually happened to Gary, did that ever kind of was that ever like a rude awakening for you? Because that's some ill movie-ish that happened to Gary.
I was in prison when Gary died or got killed.
Right.
So it was kind of a spooky feeling, but at the same time, I felt okay.
Right. And for those for the listeners out there, Gary Webb was a reporter from the San Jose Mercury News, right? Who was digging into the CIA connection with the Nicaraguan drug cartels, if I'm correct. And your name and basically the way that you were basically killing them out there, kind of. It got you some clientele that you didn't understand was quite as white collar as they eventually turned out to be. If I'm kind of summing it up right.
Yeah, you close.
I'm close, huh?
So now I see you doing a lot of positive things.
Yeah.
When I was checking out that speech you were giving, and you were speaking about like some of the drug dealers and stuff like that are in prison serving like 30-year sentences. And they're being productive, they're earning degrees, they're showing their ability to change. And you think you're saying that they should have a chance, to see the parole board and maybe get out earlier if they're showing that they can, they made a change and they can do something for the community, right?
No doubt. I don't believe that nobody for nonviolent victimless crime should be doing 30, 40 years in prison when the accountants could be better used out here on the streets.
Right. Do you honestly believe that distributing and trafficking cocaine is victimless?
Well, yeah, it is. If you look in the law book calls it a victimless crime, and the reason it's defined as a victimless crime, in a victim crime, there'll be somebody that will come in and say that this person did such and such to me.
Right.
In a victimless crime, nobody's going to come in and say that, because there's an agreement between two consensual adults that agree to one buy drugs and the other one sell drugs.
Right.
So they're both in agreement and they both make a deal. So neither one of those are considered victims, because they both consent to what our country considers a crime.
Mm-hmm. In the law book, that's absolutely right. But I mean, coming from a street cat who's been in the streets, I mean, how many people you think is injured off each kilo that hits the street indirectly?
Well, when you say, I don't know what you mean by indirectly. You'd have to.
When I say indirectly, meaning that the distributor 9 times out of 10 wouldn't even know the drama that's caused. That's the conflict between the lower level dealers. When the work is put in the streets, the lower level dealers, some people getting robbed, some people robbing people, some people getting shot, some things over ODing. I mean, there are many victims in that crime, but not directly. When I say indirectly, I mean like if I go buy a kilo, it's not my agenda to say I'm going to hurt people with this, but we know that it trickles down.
Well, I mean, but in every situation, it has to be judged on its own merits. I think that we as a country have allowed people to use excuses to justify their actions. I mean, a lot of people back then smoked cocaine and they didn't go out and rob nobody. They didn't go out and hit nobody in the head. But one guy, that's what he do. He hit people in the head, so he go and hit them in the head, and it just so happened that he had smoked a rock at the same day. And he go to court and he tell the judge, well, Your Honor, it ain't my fault. I was smoking rocks. I don't know. I think that everything has to be judged on its own merit. Everybody has to be charged for what they do and responsible for their own actions. Too often, I go out and speak and people will come up to me and tell me that I'm the reason that their mom smoked crack. And I was like, I never put a gun to your mama's head. I never... I don't even know your mama. Right. You know what I'm saying? How am I responsible? And I ain't never gave nobody crack the first time they ever smoked it. So when you're saying that I'm the reason, you don't think that she has some responsibility for her actions? Wasn't she grown? But a lot of times people like to push the blame on the bad guy.
Right.
That's just like holding McDonald's for people being obese.
Yeah, no, that's a very good illusion. It's
because McDonald's set up and say, okay, this is what it is. You know this stuff is unhealthy. We're not forcing you to eat it. You know what I'm saying? But you come through the drive-thru and you buy it. So is McDonald's held accountable for obesity?
Yeah.
Right.
They're not, but they should be.
Right.
Especially if they go to the same standards that they use for drug dealers.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if we went to those standards, they should be held accountable. Absolutely.
But they're not. So,
yeah.
I mean, we in America. So, laws are going to be curved to not favor the black man anyway, because when cocaine turned into crack, you see how all those laws got divided. You know what I'm saying? Once the crack came, the crack law was so much heavier than powder cocaine, and it just was unfair. And I believe it's still like that. I don't know, but I mean,
definitely, the court system is not blind to color.
We really enjoy you coming to check us out, man. You'll tell everybody where they can get the book at.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that book, The Ghetto Bible. You can go get it at freewayRickyRoss.com. Pick it up. Also, my shirt's on there too. If you get one today, I'm gonna autograph it for you.
Oh, no doubt.
Go check out my website, FreewayRickyRoss.com. My man.
Hey, y'all. It's Roctowns Finest on your radio.
Don't forget to check out Real Talk at 6:30 this Saturday and every Saturday. Your boy Jeff Smith, my man Andre Doc, we doing a thing. This Saturday, every Saturday, 6:30. Real Talk.
You are tuned in to Rocktowns Finest on 100.9 FM, WXIRLP in Rochester, New York.